Now all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing. This is important, and there are several opinions regarding this event because let me see how I explain it. For those who know this alphabet, this type of writing, well, remember that in Hebrew there are three alphabets or alphabets that can be used. One is called the pictographic, which is pretty much like images, like the aleph is the head of an ox, the bet is a house, the gimel is a leg or foot, the dalet is a door, and etc. etc. Pictographic. I mean, it's a little bit clearer what the letter represents. Then the Paleo Hebrew, which are pretty much lines, well, letters made with simple lines. And then there is this, which is called Ashuri, or the square alphabet. And there are pretty much a couple opinions regarding this. Some believe that this came from Babylon. Well, pretty much after Babylon, the Hebrews used this. So some say that they got it in Babylon. So that's one opinion, that the true Hebrew should be written in Paleo Hebrew, which is the oldest that we find or they find record of in history. But the other opinion, which is interesting how it kind of fits in this chapter, is that when the Almighty revealed to Moshe, he wrote the commandments in this alphabet. Pretty much this alphabet is as fire, like flames of fire, their shape. They have crowns also, not in this case, but in the most set apart way of writing each letter. A few of them have crowns over it. So, like I was saying, there are opinions that say the Paleo Hebrew would be the true alphabet, and that's it. And then so as I was saying, in Genesis, we see in Genesis 1:1 that it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim. Et is the first letter, is a word that is formed by the first and last letter of the alphabet. And it appears twice on the first verse of the whole scriptures, which shows that Yahweh created two alphabets, one for the heavens, one for the earth. And there are a lot of things that can be said regarding that and the possibilities that opens up. And one of those possibilities is that in the heavens, Yahweh created these shapes for the letters, and for the earth, he would have made the Paleo Hebrew or pictographic. So, in the giving of the Torah, one opinion says that Yahweh gave the Torah with these letters, the commandments with these letters, because they were being set apart, becoming like the angels through the Torah. So they were allowed to use these letters, this alphabet. However, right after, because of the golden calf that they decided to worship, which represents Baal, the Lord, they lost that privilege, so they had to go back to the Paleo Hebrew, because they would see this as two set apart. So with time, most people forgot it. But Daniel, who was a true wise man, did not. So he had knowledge of this alphabet, which would have been the one that the angel or the hand of Mashiach used to write this. And that would be the reason why nobody understood what he was being said. And because of the record, it is obvious that they would recognize Paleo Hebrew if the angel were to write in Paleo Hebrew, because there's a lot of writings in Paleo Hebrew in history. So it is believed that this is the alphabet that was being used, and since the captivity of the Israelim in Babylon was coming to an end at the end of the 70 years, then Yahweh was allowing them to use the alphabet again. So that's why they started using it after Babylon. And the name Ashuri that they gave to it, which Ashur is pretty much the same area, so some believe that the name is given to it because they brought it from there. It's actually given because is to give honor to Ashur, the son of Shem, who went away from Nimrod when he decided to build the Tower of Babel. So because Ashur separated from Nimrod, just like Abraham did, who came from Eber, Abraham was given the Hebrew language, and Ashur, his name was taken for the letters of that language. So that is the reason given, at least when it comes to the second opinion, of why the name of these letters is Ashuri. Yeah. Now, all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing. They could not read the writing. So the wise men, the wisest of the world at that moment, could not read what the angel was writing, the letters that he was using. One could also say, according to the other opinion, that it would be as using the same letters, but writing something that nobody understands. However, if that were the case, they would be able to pronounce the letters that they would be seeing. And since they were living close to Hebrews, they would know some Hebrew, or at least recognize Hebrew. Just like if somebody doesn't know English, if he sees somebody or hears somebody speaking English, he will realize that that's English, even though that person doesn't speak English. So and also with other languages, of course. So my point is that if they were to be able to read the characters, at least they would know that it was Hebrew or whatever language. Yet they were not able to understand anything. So that kind of points to the actual letters that were being used. Now all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing or make known to the king its interpretation. Neither the letters, nor the meaning, nor the writing, nor the interpretation. So neither. They couldn't get what those letters came from and what those letters were saying. Verse 9 says, Then King Belshazzar was greatly troubled. His countenance was changed, and his lords were astonished.